People, deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in each and every time. You guys know I appreciate you guys each and every time. I definitely appreciate you, especially Arsenal fans, especially after what you've seen. Like, we already know what happened, people. Arsenal won, Manchester City 4, Manchester City 4, Arsenal 1. In the live stream, I said, you know what, they're gonna score 5 before the game. I wasn't far off, and it's expected, it's expected to concede those goals, really and truly. Probably surprising or extremely surprising that they never got a fifth, in my opinion. But for me, it's how you lose. Like I said, we all expected to lose, but I wanted to see some credibility in the performance, some soldiers in the trenches, some, you know, trying people that are trying to achieve mission impossible. Instead, we're talking about managerial tactics or lack of. Again, we're talking about individual mistakes. If it's not a keeper who clearly isn't good enough, it's centre halves. It's more of the same now. Clearly it's the only thing we can sit here and say is it's the Cat Yarabel Cup, and we're atrocious in the league. Not that we're playing for anything in the league, but it's not in the league. So this is probably why jobs are still going to be secured. But it carries on what's happening in that pressure is being mounted over a certain managerial's position. And again, players. Only positive today is Martinelli, and that's even been flipped on its head now because we don't know if that's an impact injury, if that's a niggling knock or whatever happened in that regards. That's the only positive. We look decent and look like half a team at 1-1 for a sec. Pardon me. But again, we've gone into half time and it's been nonsense. But I'll get into that game. I will get into the game, people. What are you lot saying? Please make sure you hit the like button. Big up yourself, Michael. Big up yourself, Michael, man. He's played well. I'm not here for all of that, with all due respect, Michael. I've spoken about him at length. Just check out my other videos with respect. He's done all right, man. Hit the like button. Big up my guy, Sandro. Chris has already hit that. Mamadou is saying it's an utter shambles. That's the right way of putting it. Starting 11 was terrible. It's crazy, man. Can't blame you for having that thought. Wish I knew. I don't see why Saliba couldn't have played in a game like that, or what Saliba wouldn't learn, because you brought on Balogun, who, Balogun should be getting more minutes in the first team anyways. I don't get it. Before I forget, I don't get what's going on, because apparently he's made abundantly clear that Leno is his first choice goalkeeper. I hear that. You need to rest Leno. You need to do this and the other. But why would you start Leno against Liverpool? Why would you start him in the opening stages of the Europa League and then throw this Renison brother in? I'm not being funny, but you lot used to get onto me in my live stream. I said this Renison guy is suspect. I clocked it from the Europa League group stages. So can I really be surprised that he's made these calamitous errors that he hasn't to the scale he has? Probably not, really and truly. On one hand, I wouldn't say I feel sorry for him, but he's clearly someone without the capabilities to be in goal thrown in. I have to question Arteta, because you're training with this guy week in, week out. If you feel he was good enough to have any chance of shutting out some of the league's most potent goal scorers, I don't know what to be said in that regards, people. I don't get it. You play Leno in the Europa League group stages early on because you want to set the tone. You've played Leno against Liverpool away. You know the form we're in. You know that more than anything, whether we win, lose or draw, we need a credible performance. Why the hell would you throw Runnison in there? We've seen that he's dodgy collecting crosses. His positioning is poor. He's very random. He never gives you any calm vibes. He's an accident waiting to happen. He's clearly not a man that has the capabilities at Arsenal. And personally, whoever sanctioned on his signing deserves the sack, in my opinion. They deserve the sack. That should be the first and last game Renison plays. Now, I'm not saying we should get all on him. It's not all his fault. I don't advocate witch hunting, but I don't understand it, because we've heard he was a recommendation of a coach. So what coach has sanctioned that? Obviously, you're not just going to take one person's word and just sign a man. So we've clearly watched footage. We've clearly watched games. We've clearly done scouting reports. So there's a collective group who have sanctioned this. It's not making sense. The guy is not of the capabilities. There's even rumors he's even designed to be third choice goalkeeper at the club. So I don't think you've helped yourself. We knew this was going to be a talking point. The only luxury I think he's been saved is that with Kolasinac was poor and was playing people on side. Mustafi was poor, but none of them players made the mistakes. It was the keeper, and to be fair to the keeper, while I don't sanction it, if it's not him this week, it's Mustafi, David Luiz, or some random person getting a red card or not taking chances the week in, week out. We've got to play a squad just filled with bad individuals who make bad decisions. You know, Martinelli was the one bright spark. Even before the game on my live stream, I said, look at him. He's geeing up his players before the game. You know, going into it, you saw Martinelli. He looked like one of the only players that was going to make something happen. He was pressing and it looked like something was going to happen there. Obviously, he's got stronger as well. He looked to be a physical handful. That's the only positive. Only positive, really and truly. We know what to expect with Manchester City. We know on a bad day, even if they rotate players, they're a good squad, you know. We know they've got players who can score goals and cut us open and have great movement. So why did we not defend against any of this? We've gone into this knowing this and still being blind. We've again, like against Burnley, courtesy of an own goal, like against Everton in the 44th minute last game, we've conceded from a set piece scenario again. Forget the keeper, you know, the set piece is what is going on. I see your super chat, my guy. I'm going to get to it in a second. What is going on? And for me, we're going into the Chelsea game. They've got Kurt Zuma, who is a problem from set pieces. They've got, what's his name? Thiago Silva, who scored from a set piece. They've got Mason Mount, who can deliver them. Are we going to learn our lessons? Will said, deluded, my guy, what's the move? Players look devoid of anything, struggling to find solutions. Personally, I don't think too much is going to change today because it's the Carabao Cup. If we don't get a decent performance against Chelsea and against Brighton, even before that, Mikel Arteta, in my opinion, is done at the club and will be gone. The only luxuries he can afford himself is that it's a Europa League game. I mean, it's a Carabao Cup game. Obviously, with the lineup, we all would have probably named a stronger lineup, but that's told me that you've thrown the game. Now, in hindsight, you've clearly told us that the main game is the Chelsea one. You've thrown Runderson in there. Obviously, Martinelli deserves to start full time anyways. But I think in hindsight, Martinelli was like, cool, let's see if you can get 90 minutes or so. So we threw this game. You know, Eddie didn't play. He's probably going to play against, you know, that means he's probably going to play against Chelsea. I don't know this for a fact. Aubameyang's injured. You know, we made our bed. And so I would have thought you play a strong sort of team, you put in a credible performance, and let's see if we can get some momentum or any sort of joy or feel-good factor. None of that was there, people. Big up yourself for Mario. I honestly rate you for doing this, especially in this period of time, man. Not mention you're going to watch these games 3 or 4 times over. Have to, man. There's nothing else. But I've been talking, you lot have seen, you know, Renison gave it. For me, if you're a goalie and you don't give confidence, that's the first red sign. The second is you're vocal. You don't look too vocal. There might be a language barrier, but he don't look too vocal. The size of the goalie, you know, he's not really commanding. His positioning is very unorthodox. His decision making is dodgy, whether it's where he stands in his box, the pass he gives, he doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. He seems unassured of himself. And I can get at the player till I'm blue in the face, but at the same time, he hasn't picked himself. And like I said, if we went over, you know, done the scouting stuff and the rest of it, and we conceded this man was good enough, then that talks about the level of incompetence within this football club, people. It really does. Our set piece coach needs sacking. The medical staff needs sacking, you know, because I don't understand what's going on with the medical stuff, which we'll get onto. I really don't get it, people. The keeper isn't good enough, man. Bro, I don't blame you, man. I've got a couple. I got Henny. I got a couple bottles. I'm not opening none of them till Christmas Day for my personal game. But the rear neff is down there. That might have to get done, people. Card. This is ridiculous. We've got no legs in midfield. If it's not Thomas Partey, there's no party. Forget about it, man. Shout yourself, Bazza, as well, man. He's not a keeper. Like, the height isn't there. Doesn't collect. It's just disappointing because, you know, I'm not going to say there's some positives, but I do think the game, I don't know what's said at halftime. I do think we threw the game away in the second half. Not saying we'd win, but we weren't out of it. There was stages where, in my opinion, Manchester City did look a bit vulnerable. I think both teams looked like they could be got at when playing out from the back. There was a period where we was playing okay. Like, I feel in the grand scheme of things, we were very sloppy in possession. We were struggling to play 5-yard passes, you know, and a team like City, defending is a way. I mean, how you hold on to the ball is a way of relieving pressure on yourselves. Because like you saw, we were struggling to play 3 or 4-yard passes. We're just booting the ball aimlessly, and they're camped in our own half. They're in our half. We're camped in our own half. It's going to get tiring. And you saw that, you know, you need people who want to hold on to the ball. You need people with a bit of quality, because just by holding on to the ball, relieves pressure on your team and allows you to get further up the field. But instead, we're struggling to play 5-yard passes. We're just clearing the ball aimlessly. You know, movement as well. It was admirable seeing the movement of Phil Foden, Mahrez, Gab Jesus. It was lovely movement from all of those players, people. But again, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Players are leaving gaps. We're still open. The only positive I can say is at a period, you know, I was actually seeing El Nene play all right. I think Ceballos didn't have his worst of games. We looked all right for a sec, but we threw it away at half time. Whatever was said at half time, I don't personally know, people. Big up yourself, Tom, with the super chat. I got real questions about our weight training, strength and conditioning. Can't be all bad luck. Hope and pray Martinelli is okay. Also, big up yourself. I appreciate you for your super chat, and I can't really add on to more of what you said, people, really. Big up the Atlanta people. To be fair, Martinez wanted to go after it was made abundantly clear that he would be a backup goalie and Wood Leno would be first choice. First choice to me screams you play games like this. Second of all, did we really look to sign a due diligent second choice keeper? Because apparently we was looking at a second choice, and then Martinez emergence made it a non sort of thing. So did we genuinely want Runnison, or did we have a quick fix in that allegedly a coach referred him? You know, Dijon, they didn't want the biggest of fees. The player would be happy to sit on the bench, sort of thing. It's crazy, people. It's crazy. And, you know, he can't help himself. I don't know who recruited him. Arteta can't help himself, people. He hasn't covered himself with any glory. You know, the lineup, it was bewildering. I'm not going to lie to you. But at the same time, I think these players that I looked at, that they looked a bit dodgy, they played slightly better than I thought. The only really one I can talk about and get at is not only the fact that we look poor from set pieces, but obviously clearly Runnison. Big up everybody locked in. Please make sure you hit the like button. Bro, you can only, it's not even that I call, you can only see an L. You could only see an L against Burnley. You could only see an L against Southampton. Somehow we survived that. You could only see an L in this game, you know. You can only see an L in the Chelsea and games to come. It's not going to get better for us. It's not. It's really not going to get better. And for me, it's about how you start. You know, we're not following runners, you know. You knew 3 of them goals were not following runners. The first goal, 4 minutes or so in for Gab Jesus. It's wonderful play by him, Zinchenko and whatnot. But it's lovely movement from them. They've got in between Mustafi and I believe Gabriel. Rinneson's ball watching the whole situation and hasn't come out. You know, just by coming out and acting like you're collecting the ball, you've given Gabriel a decision to make. He might think, oh crap, this guy's going to take me out. And he might not do that. Please hit up the like button, people. He might not do that. So the first goal, we shot ourselves in the foot. You know, we got ourselves back in the game through sheer determination from Martinelli, in my opinion. You know, he's put a cross in initially. And shout out to Joe Willett just by making a nuisance. Because as I said, City did look like they could concede. The only good thing we did, they ain't got a clean sheet. You know, that keeper was rushing out. There was times, like I said, Martinelli was catching them in possession. And, you know, like I said, shout out to Joe Willett for his involvement in the first. Because just by being involved in the box, I think Joe was a nuisance. I actually feel Joe was all right in his little pressing role. He gave Laporte something to think about. As I said, Martinelli did well. Eventually, Lacazette headed it. That's the only positive. You know, what is said at half-time, again and again, we keep saying the same thing. What is said at half-time? Because at half-time, it's a tale of two headers. You've got one Brazilian who's assisted a Frenchman in Lacazette for one. You've got Gabriel Jesus, who scored after Zinchenko cross. Movement, you know, like I said, Mahrez is huffing and puffing. Foden's picking up spots, as is Bernardo Silva. And you're seeing gaps in our midfield. Really and truly. The only positive I'd say, I think Haaland tried. You know, Haaland went out fighting. Everyone connected to Haaland did all right. Maitland-Niles had patches, people. I'm going to share my screen so there's more structure of my thoughts in relation to this game, people. 1 second. Let me share the screen. Share the screen. Google tab. Please go to the reaction Google document. So, yeah, people, as you can see, pre-game, like I said, I could only see us getting smacked. You know, when I think of Manchester City, I think of off-the-ball movement. They pass to disrupt the opposition. Arteta knows this, so I can't understand the amount of gaps we are seeing, the amount of free space players we're getting into. So I think movement and runners, 3-4 minutes in, we've let ourselves down. I think goal scorers all over the field. Like we all knew Mahrez, Foden and Gab Jesus, they all do well against us. We knew they would get on the score sheet. All you're looking for in a game like this was just pride, a bit of pride, a bit of some sort of hope and confidence to take from it. Just some decent performance, just not looking like mugs again and again. You know, like I said, first half, I felt the early goal killed any confidence we had initially. I did see some reaction, and I saw some bravery, and you know, I thought Martinelli was where we would get something because he's pressing and he's causing a couple heart in mouth moments. I didn't understand the lineup, but I felt prior, you know, Kolasinac is playing people on side for the goal we conceded from a set piece. But I think he was doing well in terms of winning his aerial battles. I feel Cedric was doing all right. I feel El Nene and I feel definitely Sabas had a better game. I don't feel Sabas was dead today. El Nene had a bit more of a braver game in possession. I saw a bit. You know, the problems is there's still no system. We gave the ball away extremely cheaply, and we don't press as a unit. Like, you've got Lacazette walking around, and when he presses, it's just one man. It's very easy to bypass. Because as you saw, the couple moments when there was a bit of confidence in the game, and we were pressing them high with numbers, I won't go as far as to say they were struggling. They were still getting out, but there was a couple moments we're catching them. We were picking the ball off them early before it's even got out of their centre halves. It definitely looked like I'm not going to say we could get something out of the game, but definitely play a bit better, people. As I said, shout out to Ceballos. Joe Willock Maitland-Niles in the build-up, but for me, it's all Martinelli and his sheer determination, you know, to get us back in the game. And the only good thing I saw from Lacazette was that goal. And again, we knew what we'd have to expect. We knew there was a lot of running. We knew we have to follow midfield runners. We knew we'd have to be spot on from set pieces, and all of which was just thrown in the bin. So yeah, man, like I said, we knew we'd have large periods without the ball. We knew that we can't afford to switch off from runners, yet we still did. I think Gabriel, our centre half, Gabriel, I know there's hella Gabriels around. I think he was evidently told to stay tight to Bernardo Silva, because he just completely took him out a couple of times. Don't think it was the worst game from Gabriel, but not the best of games. You know, 9 minutes in, you know, City started fast as you would expect. And we had what? They had 11%. We had 11% possession. They had 89. You know, and like I said, some players are pressing someone, and this is fractured, which is easy to bypass. I think it took us about 12 minutes to wake up, as I've said here. Could finally see a bit of keeping the ball, a bit of bravery, a bit of trying to play it out from the back. Saying that, Rudiger's decision making throughout the whole game, not those just those mistakes, was appalling. And to be fair to Rudiger, I will give him his credit, because as poor as I think he was, in the 41st minute, he did make a big save. You know, one positive thing you find out about him just by going on Google is that he's okay as a shot stopper. It's not good enough. And like I said, we saw better quality, but I felt Rudiger's distribution was also poor. I felt large periods of the games we gave the ball away, but in this period, there were some encouraging signs with the pressing. I have to give credit to Joe Willock, because he had a lot of running to do. He had to do that sort of wide position press. He also got through a lot of doggy work in the midfield. I'd be surprised if he doesn't have a shower, have a quick bite to eat, and go straight to brushing his teeth and going to bed, because he's done a lot, you know. And he must have played his way into contention playing on the weekend. Not that anyone has. Like I said, people, it was encouraging as well that we didn't go down. We didn't go down at half. We didn't go down at halftime like against Everton, conceding a cheap goal. We at least went into halftime with something. You know, we reacted well. I'm not going to say it's a credible performance, but within the context of having to have 11 men behind the ball, having to concede possession, knowing we lack overall quality on the ball, I think we've done okay. There are some things I can nitpick. Me mainly, we're not really offering too much of a consistent threat. But at halftime, I think we looked braver after he scored. I think both teams had elements of nerves when playing out from the back. Obviously, we had a timid start. I'll just give credit to a degree to Ceballos and actually Joe Willock working harder on the flanks, people, as you can see. Let me zoom in a bit, because I understand a lot of you can't see. Our pressing is a shambles, as I've already said, and it's too easy to beat. You know, we're giving the ball away cheaply. Martinelli is the bright spark. Too easy to break down, as I said, and we're not following runners, which, you know, was the case in the second half. And it was firmly the tale of two headers, people, in that game, as you saw, you know, Lacazette and Gabriel Jesus at this moment, people. Like I said, can we look after the ball a bit more? Can we have a bit more self-belief? Because nobody expected us to win. Everybody expected this result. But what we needed to do was present a bit more problems. We know City are a good team. We know Pep Guardiola, since coming to England, has fallen in love with this trophy, amongst others, people. Second half, again, what is said at half time, because we've conceded 3 goals. We've conceded from a set piece. We do look quite open. And You know, I think Runnison was the decisive factor. You know, when you make those two mistakes, you're always out of the game. But at the same time, I don't like to just blame one man. What have we done collectively as a unit? Keeper done us with two stupid mistakes. You know, I do think Phil Foden was offside, but he's rushing out, and he made Foden's mind up really and truly with just dinking him. Foden's done that a couple of times. The free kick from Mahrez, and you've heard Mahrez pre-game. Mahrez has even said, "I'm surprised by the goalkeeper's positioning." You know, on top of poor distribution and looking shaky overall. You know, the one good thing Renison did was that saving the 41st minute shortly before half time, all undone. You know, he's pulled it the same size as Renison, and Renaissance flapped at it. It's a cheap goal. It's an easy goal for Mahrez to score. And, you know, it's probably the easiest free kick Mahrez will score. Again, we let ourselves listen, you know, it's always difficult when you've made those two mistakes and you're chasing the game. We let ourselves down from a set piece ultimately, which annoyed me, like against Everton and like against Burnley. And going into the Chelsea game at the weekend, they have people that will exploit. Apologies for the typo. So it's not for positive reading. You know, we're this close to Wembley and some of the team selections were baffling. Now, obviously, there's games have been coming thick and fast, and some players have probably needed to recharge mentally, and some are probably carrying knocks. But a lot of those decisions, I didn't get it. You know, Mustafi, if you're going to play Mustafi, who is not the future of this club in any way, shape, or form, why can't Saliba play? I know there's talk of Saliba having a meeting, and again, it could have killed Saliba's confidence, but who's more likely to learn? You know, Paulo Marie's on the bench. He's doing under 23s games and whatnot. Why is he not playing today? Sort of thing. I know Gabriel's played because he was suspended. I don't get it. I really don't. Runnison, you know, fair enough if you say he's trained and played well. But personally, I think it's even more concerning if you've previously worked with these City, man. These used to be your guys. You've spent more time in that dressing with the City, man, more so than you did with any of the Arsenal players currently. You spent how long, all heap of time with them. And I don't really get it, you know. So you've seen that. You've seen how potent they are. You've probably seen this keeper more so than we already know. How could you expect him to have confidence? Now, again, I understand it's a squad game. Clearly, you threw this game. You know, you were just hoping for a credible performance and just hoping we would save some face, and it ain't happened. You threw Runnison in at the deep end. He has to answer. You know, Runnison's made stupid mistakes. If I'm him and opportunities aren't too hard to come by, I'm making sure this doesn't happen. Like for me, you would never play for this club again based on that. But that's probably a bit reactionary. You know, I don't understand the Mustafi. Kolasinac, again, I think he was playing all right prior to conceding the last goal. But still bewildering decisions. Again, I get that you're resting players, but City are probably resting players. Even, you know, City, they're not doing the best in the league by their own standards, you know. They've rested players and they've still named a very strong lineup, you know, compared to what they could name and really rest players. I'd say we even disrespected ourselves, disrespected the fans, and disrespected them to a degree. For me as well, no leader in that defense. The keeper's not vocal. The keeper's meant to be your eyes and ears. Everybody's playing up. I'm seeing Mustafi rushing out. Kolasinac is not. I don't know if Mustafi needs to open his mouth or Runnison the same, but Kolasinac is being silly as well and is caught flat-footed and has no clue of what's going on. And for me, you've all played football. You know, somebody needs to speak. The minute City have played that short free kick, short set piece from the corner, why have we not cleared our lines? Why has the keeper not shouted get out? Why is Mustafi, who should be one of the captains, saying get out? Why is Kilajin that's not switched on enough? You know, you've got that, you know, for the two goal for definitely Gab Jesus' goal. In the build-up, Zinchenko as well. Go and look at Zinchenko and Gabriel's movement for the first goal. Go and look at their movement for the second and third. Well, the only one I would say you can't really get is the free kick, and you have to really just attribute that to the keeper. But go and look at the movement they've got in between our defenders. All our team gets caught ball watching far too often, and some of these men are seasoned vets. That's why I understand when people say it's a toxic environment, don't throw the young players in, but they can't do any worse. Now we have to answer. We've got a lot of questions to answer in relation to Martinelli and whatnot, but he was a bright spark. Balogun and Smith Rowe looked a bit encouraging. Joe Willett put a shift in. Maitland-Niles was all right, even though he started to be a bit sloppy and whatnot. Martinelli's not hailing, but you get the point. The young players seem to be the only bright spark. You know, Cedric weren't amazing, but he looked like someone that wants to play games and things. And we weren't really in it, man. You know, we weren't in it. We shot ourselves in the foot, and it's damning, really and truly. We know City score a lot of goals against us and continued that. 13 shots, 7 on target. We had 6 and 2 on target. 57% possession to our 43s. You can all see the passing statistics. And for me, what was concerning is that Pep knew there was goals. He knew there was goals. At 3-1, he's making, he's bringing on, I can't remember if it's actually at 3-1, but he's bringing on Ferran Torres and he's bringing on Sergio. That was at 3-1. Now at 3-1, you've got a decision to make. Do you sit back or do you go for the fourth? Now against other teams, he might have sat back. Against us, he said, yeah, Arsenal might be open, but we always back ourselves to score more. Or he wouldn't have elected at 3-1, because if we score and make it 3-2, it's nervy. At this moment, we've shown that we can fight back in the game to some degree. But at the same time, he said, I can score. And the only benefit is Sergio didn't score and make it 5. And Ferran Torres, who I thought would get on the score sheet with as well. There are no positives, apart from Martinelli setting up a thing. But even he's injured, people. And ending thoughts, again, sorry for the typos. But, Runnelson's terrible handling, terrible starting position. Everything's wrong with the goalkeeper. And I don't understand who sanctioned him. I've already made this point. You've played Leno in less serious rounds. And now it's a couple steps from a final. You're making rest. So again, Arteta has made bewildering decisions. And it's again where we go through and pick off 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names we don't understand. Mustafi doesn't have I'm not saying you can't use him, but he doesn't have a career here. Why don't you use what's going on with Marie? He might be injured, but he's on the bench. Marie's going to be a squad player at the very least. Why aren't you throwing him in here? Mustafi, is not part of this. Not that I'm blaming Mustafi, but I'm trying to find logic. Bringing a Marie, play Saliba, who could have learned today. Why are you going with Mustafi, someone who in literally next week can actually begin talking to clubs for free? So I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. We know we've got a bad squad with bad individuals. I know we can. I think the keeper's really to blame here. He gave us too much to work with. Probably take out the goals. The keeper made a mistake, and it's only 2-1 to Man City. But we can't do if spots and that thing there. We have to take it all in our stride. I would like to know who co-signed the signing of the goalkeeper. I would also like to know who said he was a good goalkeeper, because again, we all make mistakes. But come on, you can't afford to get things wrong. And again, this question marks the recruitment. And there's no feel-good factor going into Chelsea. Like I said, we rotated players. So again, it's not the same team. But if you had some sort of credibility in this performance, we might have had some joy. And for me, you can only say, all right, you look good for 45 minutes. Football's a 90-minute game minimum plus added on time. Ultimately, it's more pressure on Arteta, because on one hand, you could say it's the Cat Yarabel. Considering the decisions he made with the lineup, he threw the game. Which shows you the importance is on the Chelsea game, to which, if I hear that, he's doubled down on Chelsea. So if it's more of the same of that Chelsea game, you're not going to make it to Brighton. You're not. Arteta's not. I think Brighton is D-Day for Arteta if this continues. But he's not going to make it out of Brighton if this honestly continues, people. He has next to no chance of escaping out of that game, people. He's shown his inexperience with the team selections. Again, if he's rested players, again, he's got to put in a performance at Chelsea. And there's no feel-good factor for the fans. There's no bit of confidence. There's no real positives to take going into that Chelsea game, because we're going to go there and respect Chelsea far too much. We're going to consider the fact of, yeah, they won their last game, but they've been a bit shaky of recent too. They've lost twice on the spin, basically, prior to last game. And we're going to go there and respect them too much and sit off. And you can imagine Giroud, coming to our place, Giroud from a set piece, Pulisic, Tammy Abraham, how the script is going to go. Like I said, following runners, in addition to this, to no system, to following runners, to lacking at set pieces, it's more of the same. And it just makes me wonder more than anything, what the hell are we doing for training, really and truly? Because we can't score, we can't defend, we're letting in cheap goals and cheap mistakes. Like I said, for 3 of those goals, we didn't follow runners. And for 1 of those, we're not following runners. We're getting caught flat-footed and playing people on side on top of poor decision making. And now morale slips further. For the Halen youngsters, keep your head high, but it's further question marks and it's further bewilderment among everything else. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, people. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. It does not cost a thing. It does not cost a thing. 207 likes, people. And I can't blame you for thinking we're going to get piped by Chelsea, people. It's crazy. Absolute crazy. Man, like Microsoft Word document, Google Doc, man. To be fair, he's error prone as well. Error prone as well, man. It's a joke, man. It's absolutely a joke, people. Terrible pressing. You know, big up yourself, Robertson. You ain't deluded. Straight facts. Over 500 people watching. Hit the like button. There's 628 of you. Please hit the like button, people. Bro, Lacazette just strolls around the football field, in my opinion, and he's lost he's never been the quickest, but he's lost a yard of pace. And, you know, we're not pressing together. And like I say, he's just walking about, man. He's just crazy, man. Like you said, JR, the young bucks are showing the experienced players up, man. You'd think the olders would play more intelligently for the sake of their pride, you know. I do think Maitland-Niles was quite sloppy in the second half. Bro, we don't have the right players, but at the same time, that's all a cop-out because there should be a system and these players shouldn't be making these mistakes. That's on Arteta, but for these players to fix up. Bro, it's a point where at this moment in time, if you allow Arsenal to stress you out, it's your fault now. It's my fault as well. Like you can hear, it's my fault because we know what they're about. Like we should stop getting annoyed at this. You know, there is nothing more to say, John Wayne, and big up yourself for the love, man. Wish I knew about that. Like Daniel is saying, L after L after L, so many below par players. Our players that have been out for months was our biggest threat. Facts, man. True. You already know he's playing this weekend. You know, Willock's a rough diamond. When he's got to put legs in the team, he's cool. It's just Willock's final ball and his end product isn't good enough, people. I 100% agree the squad is extremely imbalanced without a doubt. A blind man can see that, man. So many decisions I don't understand, man. Trust me, proper gem in my man. Big up yourself, Troy. You know, you're right, Don, man. We're all seeing the same thing, but those of you who, you know, those of them who make the decisions, it's terrible. You know, are making terrible ones. It was offside, but at the end of the day, we know there's no VAR, and Runnelson's made his mind up. For me, Runnelson is trying to rectify one mistake already, and you saw the script. You saw the script, man. Bro, Chelsea. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. That is crazy. The games are coming thick and fast. They're not getting any easier for us, people. May God help us. Big up the moderators as well, man. It's absolutely crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy, man. Bro, what is said at half time? Because we keep coming at it and moving mad, you know. I'm seeing more in Balogun's play than certain other man. Bro, this is why I think you can never overstate experience. I mean, it's overstated, but it can never be overrated. You know, you can never undermine having experience, but experience is only relevant if the players are good. And sometimes you can be a young man with experience and an older head who is inexperienced, like you see. You know, God forbid Leno gets injured or we're in proper problems, people. We're in proper problems. My guy, big up yourself. But at the same time, I don't want us to ever lose. I don't want us to ever lose whether I like a manager or not, because it's not productive for me. Fundamentally, I love the club, man. I love the club. I would love to. I'm gonna get into Arteta's comments. I want to know what Arteta's had to say in relation to this game, because it's got to the point where you have to find it funny. Surely you have to find the comment. Surely. Absolutely crazy, man. To be fair, Martinez wanted to go. The problem is any player can go. If you're not Lionel Messi or Ronaldo, you can go. The problem is you need to have a plan. We haven't had a plan. We've gone for the easy option, and like we've already known, when you take sometimes being cheap helps, but sometimes, you know, when you make cheap and costly additions, you get exactly what you pay for. You know. You get exactly what you pay for. We've bought a keeper who's below par. We can't be surprised that he's given us warning signs about such in the Europa League, and you know, consequently, you've seen what's happened in the League Cup, and could potentially happen in the league. God forbid Leno gets injured like he did for me in Football Manager. Chris, you're right, man. Chelsea don't do well against lower league opposition, so that might help us really and truly. We might have half a chance. You know, the only positives I can see is Martinelli and the Halem boys. Smith Rowe had a couple good touches. Balogun had a couple good touches, but that's it. And that's clutching at straws, evidently, people. Moving on with what I've actually got here in front of you.